You see they still haven't replied, and your thumb starts writing the second text. Stop. Say this once: I don't negotiate with a story I invented. Then I'll show you what to do in the next 10 minutes so you don't sabotage the relationship, especially in the moment you're about to send the "Are you ignoring me?" message. You're in a checkout line at a grocery store, one hand on the cart, the other hand pretending you're not checking your phone again. The screen lights up. Still nothing. And your stomach drops like you just missed a step. You don't want to admit this, but you do it every time. You treat silence like a message. Say this exactly once before you type anything: I don't negotiate with a story I invented. Now put the phone face down and set a 10-minute timer. For the next 10 minutes, you do not send a second text, you do not open the thread just to see, you do not post a hint, and you do not refresh your inbox. You do one neutral thing with your body: water, a short walk, a simple task, until the timer ends. Within those 10 minutes, you'll feel the urge peak, soften, and drop a notch. It won't vanish, but it will stop feeling like an emergency, and that's enough to prevent the impulsive message that turns a small silence into a real problem. Educational content inspired by classical Stoic texts. Not medical, psychological, financial, or legal advice. This won't rush you, but it will keep you from spiraling. Because this isn't about being sensitive. It's about what happens inside you when someone doesn't respond. Your mind starts making meaning. You write a whole story in the dark: why they haven't replied, what they really think, what this must mean, and then you react to the story as if it's a fact. You feel disrespected, you feel small, you feel disposable, and suddenly you're not living your day, you're managing a gap in information like it's a threat. And the stakes are bigger than the moment. When silence eats you, you send messages that weaken your position. You over-explain. You accuse. You withdraw. You say all good when it's not. You chase reassurance and call it clarity. This is costing you relationships, career momentum, and self-trust, because every time you react, you teach yourself you can't handle uncertainty without doing something you later regret. So here's what you get by the end: not total mastery, not a personality transplant, but earlier control. You'll be able to stop the meaning-making habit with a fast reality check routine. You'll avoid impulsive messages that damage relationships and opportunities. And you'll feel calmer without needing instant reassurance to survive the next hour. If you want more training like this, practical, calm, and usable when you're actually triggered, subscribe, because this channel is built to be the place you go before you do the thing that burns your life down in small ways. Subscribe and turn on notifications. First, you'll learn how to separate facts from the story your brain builds when it doesn't have data. Next, you'll use a simple script that prevents the second message, the one that makes you look needy or hostile. Then you'll practice how to settle your body so your mind stops sprinting. Finally, you'll see it applied in a real moment where the pressure is high and you still have to act like yourself. And later, I'm going to bring you into a moment where you're about to send one final message, one that feels justified and even self-respecting, and you'll feel the exact second where control either shows up or disappears. You're on a normal North American day. Maybe it's mid-morning and you're at work, Slack open, inbox open, calendar reminders popping up, and you're still checking your phone like it's a courtroom. Or maybe it's late evening and you're on the couch, TV on, half watching, half waiting. The waiting is the point. Because it isn't just that they haven't replied. It's what your mind is doing with the silence. You're not just waiting for information. You're waiting for relief. And when relief doesn't come, your brain starts manufacturing explanations. This is the first core idea: you have to stop upgrading unknown into certain just because uncertainty hurts. The Stoic move here is simple and sharp: separate what happened from the story you added. Epictetus built an entire way of life around this: events happen, and then you judge them. The event is outside you. The judgment is yours. Start with a lived example, 20 to 30 seconds. You send a message: still on for Friday? It's not desperate. It's normal. But you care. 10 minutes pass. 30. An hour. You're still functioning, But every few minutes your attention snaps back like a rubber band. You reread your own text. You check if it says delivered. You start imagining their face when they see it. You start imagining them choosing not to answer. And you feel that tightening feeling, the urge to do something. Here's the microscript, verbatim. Silence is not a verdict. It's a delay. Say it again, silence is not a verdict. It's a delay. Why it works is embodied, not fancy. A verdict means you've been judged. Your nervous system reacts like you've lost status, safety, and belonging. A delay means time is passing and you don't have the data yet. You're still in the process, not the conclusion. When you treat silence like a verdict, you act like someone defending themselves in court, arguing, pleading, attacking. When you treat it like a delay, you can hold your posture. Now make it friction heavy, because you don't spiral in theory. You spiral in real life. North American example with friction. You text a friend who's been flaky, "You still coming tonight?" They usually answer quickly. Tonight they don't. Immediately, your mind supplies the familiar story, "They don't respect me." Then it escalates, "I always care more." Then it goes for the throat, "I'm not important to anyone." That story is emotional gasoline. And you're about to light it with a second message, something passive-aggressive, or something overly cheerful that's actually a demand. Here's the tiny action, measurable today. The 3-line reality check. You can do it in 45 seconds. You can do it in your head, on paper, in Notes app, anywhere. Line 1, fact. I sent a message. Line 2, unknown. I don't know why they haven't responded. Line 3, control. I control what I do next. That's it. You don't add commentary. You don't build a case. You don't guess. You do not let your mind pretend it has information it doesn't have. Now do a slow practice moment, brief. Take one breath in through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 1. Exhale for 6. As you exhale, soften your face, jaw unclenched, forehead smooth. And quietly repeat, silence is not a verdict. It's a delay. Do that 3 times. That breathing isn't magic. It's a signal. It tells your body this gap is not an emergency. And when your body stops acting like it's under threat, your mind stops producing threat stories as aggressively. One more real-world twist, sometimes silence isn't neutral. Sometimes people do ignore you. Sometimes they do pull away. This tool still works because it doesn't deny reality. It delays your reaction until reality is clearer. It keeps you from punishing someone for a story that might be wrong, and it keeps you from begging someone for reassurance you should be giving yourself. Forward pull line, why this matters later. Because later, when the silence is bigger, when it's a job decision, a relationship turning point, a business negotiation, this ability will protect your dignity. If you can't hold steady inside small unknowns, you will sell your self-respect for the cheapest form of rely. F. Now we switch the rhythm. Short tense story first. You send an email after an interview. You keep it clean, thank you for your time, looking forward to next steps. They said you'd hear back by Friday. It's Friday afternoon. Nothing. The quiet isn't just quiet, it's loud. It feels like a judgment on your future. You refresh your inbox like it's a slot machine. You draft a follow-up. Then another. Then you start rewriting your thank you note in your head like one wrong sentence ruined your life. Here's the mistake, you treat silence like proof that you're losing. And once you believe you're losing, you start grasping. Grasping looks like just checking in emails that come too soon. It looks like long paragraphs explaining yourself. It looks like sending something because you can't stand feeling powerless. You're not communicating, you're self-soothing. Introduce the correction with a script. Verbatim. I'm available to clarify. I'm not available to chase. Say it again, I'm available to clarify. I'm not available to chase. Why it works is simple. It restores role clarity. Your role is to be clear, respectful, and professional. Their role is to respond in their time, or not. When you start chasing, you're trying to control their timeline to control your feelings. And even if your words are polite, the emotional pressure leaks through. People can feel when a message is about information versus when it's about anxiety. Now a tiny action tied to this correction. Write your follow-up, but don't send it for 30 minutes. Not because waiting guarantees a better outcome, but because waiting proves you can tolerate the feeling without acting out. Put it in drafts. If it's a text, write it in notes, not in the chat. You're separating thinking from sending. That separation is emotional control. Here's a practical follow-up template that holds posture without heat. Hi, name, quick follow-up on, topic. If you'd like me to proceed with option A, I can. If not, I'll hold it until I hear back. Thanks. Notice what's missing: accusations, extra emotion, apologies for existing. Notice what's present: clarity, options, calm. Pattern interrupt, use a question, right as your fingers want to hit send. What outcome am I trying to buy with this message? If the answer is, I want them to relieve my anxiety, you're about to send the wrong message. Now you do one breath reset. Not a ritual, just a reset. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Once. Then decide from posture, not panic. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself about not being dragged around by impressions, those first interpretations that feel true because they feel intense. The impression is, they're ignoring me. The truth might be, they're busy, or they're deciding, or they're disorganized, or they're not interested. You don't know yet. Your job is to behave well before you know. Tiny action, measurable today. Pick one silence trigger you're dealing with right now, one thread, one person, one situation. For the next 24 hours, you do not send more than one follow-up. 1. Clean. Calm. Then you stop. That limit isn't to punish you. It's to protect you from spiraling into a chain of messages that weakens your position and makes you feel worse. Forward pull line. Because later, when the silence is attached to something you deeply want, money, love, respect, this is the moment your old pattern will try to buy relief at any cost. This correction teaches you to hold your ground without hardening your heart. Now we stress test under pressure, and we do it by destroying a false belief. False belief: if I don't do something right now, I'll lose my place. That belief makes you treat silence like a competition. Whoever cares less wins. So you either chase or feel ashamed, or you go cold and pretend you don't care, but you're still checking. Both are reactions. Both are controlled by the same fear, being left. Myth bust: you don't keep your place by forcing contact. You keep your place by keeping your posture. Clear instruction with stakes. When silence triggers you, you reduce exposure to the trigger and regulate your body before you act. Not later. First, because if you act while dysregulated, your logic will be a servant of your emotion. Your brain will write convincing paragraphs to justify whatever your feelings want. Here's the script, short and durable. Verbatim. I'll act on facts, not gaps. Again, I'll act on facts, not gaps. Now put it in a high-pressure North American example. You're dating someone. Early, but not casual. They used to reply with enthusiasm. Now the replies are slow. Short. Random. Your mind tries to solve the puzzle by staring at it. You reread their old messages to prove you didn't imagine the connection. You look for patterns. You check timestamps. You start anticipating rejection so you can feel prepared. Then you get hit with the urge: send the message that forces clarity. The "we need to talk." The "are we good?" The "be honest with me." It feels mature. But if it's coming from panic, it's not maturity, it's a demand for reassurance. Here's the instruction: use a dignity window. Dignity window rule. You don't send emotionally loaded messages until you've done 3 things: drank water, eaten something, and completed one simple task. 1. It can be small. Take out trash, reply to one email, shower, and do 10 minutes of cleaning. The task is proof you can move your life forward without their response. Now the script you use inside the dignity window when your mind tries to drag you back. I can wait without shrinking. Say it once. You're not trying to hypnotize yourself. You're choosing a posture. Slow practice moment, stress tested. Sit back. Feet flat. Shoulders down. Unclench your jaw. Place one hand on your chest for 10 seconds, not for drama, but as a physical signal of steadiness. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. 3 rounds. On each exhale, soften your face like you're trying to look kind in a photo. This is important. Your facial tension feeds your threat response. When your face relaxes, your brain stops yelling as loudly. Now, clear instruction about checking. Checking is not neutral. Checking is feeding. Every time you check, you restart the emotional cycle. So you set a rule, you check at planned times only. Not random. Not compulsive. Pick 2 check times, once midday, once evening. Outside of those windows, the phone stays face down or out of reach. This is not because you're playing games. It's because you're protecting your attention from becoming a hostage. Tease the vignette without promising closure. In a little while, you're going to be in a parking lot with your thumb hovering over a message that starts with, "So I guess you're just not going to." It will feel righteous. It will feel like self-respect. And you'll have about 5 seconds to realize whether you're defending your dignity or burning it for temporary relief. Now we integrate. One story, North American, second person, starts with stress. It's Saturday afternoon. You're leaving a hardware store, bright lights, big aisles, people loading bags of mulch into trunks. You're in your car now, keys in hand, but you haven't started the engine. Because you checked your phone again. You didn't plan to. You just did it. Like a reflex. No reply. And the stress hits fast. Your chest tightens. Your throat feels dry. Your hands get restless, like energy has nowhere to go. Your mind starts doing what it always does. It tries to end the discomfort by creating certainty. Old reaction almost wins immediately. You open the chat. You type, "All good." Delete. You type, "Just checking in." Delete. You type what you really want to say, "Are you ignoring me?" It feels honest. It feels strong. It feels deserved. But you catch yourself, barely. Tool 1 from earlier, I don't negotiate with a story I invented. You say it out loud in the car. And the sound of it makes you realize how quickly your mind turned a gap into an accusation. Now you do the 3-line reality check. Calm. Fast. Fact, I sent a message and haven't gotten a reply. Unknown, I don't know why. Control, I control whether I send something that damages my position. You feel the urge to argue back. Your mind says, "But it does mean something." Maybe it does. But you still don't know what. And you don't get to punish someone for a theory. So you use tool 2 from earlier. Silence is not a verdict. It's a delay. You repeat it as you put the phone into the center console. You close it. You don't do it dramatically. You just reduce exposure. Your body is still hot. This is where most people fail. They think the point is the thought. But the body is driving the behavior. So you do the slow practice moment, even if you feel stupid doing it. Feet flat. Shoulders down. Inhale 4. Hold 1. Exhale 6. 3 rounds. On the last exhale, you soften your face. You unclench your jaw. You drop your shoulders like you're letting go of a heavy backpack. Then you set the dignity window. You haven't eaten. You're hungry. You're tired. Your nervous system is demanding relief and trying to buy it with a message. So you make a deal with yourself. You will not send any emotionally loaded messages until you drink water, eat something, and complete one small task. You start the car. As you drive, your mind tries to pull you back into the story. It shows you images, them laughing, them choosing someone else, them forgetting you. Your mind thinks images are evidence. You feel the anger rise, hot, clean, and powerful. Anger is seductive because it feels like strength. But you use the script from section 3. I'll act on facts, not gaps. You get home. You drink water. You eat something simple, nothing fancy. While you eat, you feel the urge still pulsing, but it's different now. It's less sharp. More manageable. Like a wave that still exists but doesn't own you. Now you do the one task. Something easy. Take out trash. Wash dishes. Fold laundry. 10 minutes. You're not doing chores to impress the universe. You're doing them to prove you can move your life forward without a reply. Old reaction tries one more time. You finish the task and you feel that impulse, now I can send it. The message is still in your head, lined up like a speech. Your mind says, you've waited long enough. You deserve clarity. So you use the section 2 question, the pattern interrupt. What outcome am I trying to buy with this message? And you answer honestly, reassurance. Relief. Control. But you also remember the line. I'm available to clarify. I'm not available to chase. So instead of sending the emotional message, you choose one of two adult actions. Either you do nothing, because doing nothing is sometimes the most powerful move. Or, if it's actually appropriate, you send one clean message that doesn't leak panic. Something like, hey, when you get a moment, let me know about Friday. If I don't hear back by tomorrow afternoon, I'll make other plans. That message isn't a threat. It's clarity without begging. It's a boundary without drama. And then you stop. The situation is not resolved. You still don't know what their silence means. You still feel some tenderness in the uncertainty. But something is calmer now. Something is clearer. You didn't throw your dignity at the screen. You didn't create damage that lasts longer than the silence. You proved, in a real moment, that you can tolerate the feeling without making it someone else's job to fix. That's improvement, not completion. The loop stays open. The silence may continue. But you're no longer being eaten alive by it. Here's the core lesson, restated in one short paragraph. Reacting is when silence controls your hands and your words. Responding is when you feel the heat and still choose your action. Reacting is scattered, your attention trapped in the gap, your mind inventing meaning, your behavior chasing relief. Responding is intentional, facts first, body settled, posture protected, one clean action or no action at all. Now the flowing recap, listen for the arc. First we started inside the tension, right in the moment your phone lights up and the silence hits your chest, and we used one sentence to stop you from arguing with a story you invented. Then we separated facts from assumptions so silence stopped feeling like a verdict and became what it usually is, a delay with missing information. Next we corrected the chase reflex by choosing a posture that stays available to clarify but refuses to beg for reassurance. Then we stress-tested the tools under pressure by busting the belief that you have to act immediately, and we used body regulation and plan checking to keep the gap from hijacking your attention. Finally, we walked through a real moment where the old reaction almost won, and you saw that the win isn't getting a reply, it's keeping your dignity while you wait for reality to show itself. Exactly 3 do-today steps, specific and measurable. 1. The 10-minute no-message timer. The next time silence triggers you today, say, I don't negotiate with a story I invented, set a 10-minute timer, and do not send anything until it ends. 2. The 3-line reality check. Once today, write or say, fact/unknown/control in under 60 seconds, and stop there, no extra analysis. 3. The dignity window. Delay any emotionally loaded message until after water, food, and one completed task. Only then decide if you still need to communicate. Watch next pointer. Next, you need the skill that comes after silence. What happens when they finally reply and your emotions spike? Relief, anger, the urge to lecture, the urge to over-explain. A good next title is Emotional Control, How to Respond Without Punishing Them, because silence tests your patience, but the reply tests your posture. Subscribe for continued training in emotional control that holds up when real life presses back.